Can voters trust a presidential candidate who has not won a single Trump International Golf Club trophy? At long last, sir, have you no chip shot?
Well, look, I'd be happy to play. I told him this before when he came into the Oval, when he was before he got sworn in. I said, I'll give you 3 strokes if you carry your own bag.
Trump's not gonna like that. But anyway, that took place at last night's big glitzy New York fundraiser. Obviously, Joe Biden was there, joined on stage by Barack Obama, Bill Clinton. You saw Stephen Colbert sort of moderating things. And there were celebrities and actors and musicians. Mindy Kaling was there, and Queen Latifah, Lizzo, Ben Platt, Cynthia Erivo, Lea Michele, Chuck Schumer as well. You know, amongst all those people, I don't think Chuck Schumer's gonna draw that much attention, but the event certainly drew attention because it brought in a ton of money. We expect that he raised something like $26 million at that single event, which is a lot of money. It's much needed. Of course, Joe Biden, who has maybe drawn into parity with Donald Trump in a number of polls, including in swing states, but definitely is gonna want that money, that well-funded war chest as he jumps into the general election. And thankfully, not only did he have a successful event in New York, but things have been going pretty well fundraising wise throughout the year. So if you take a look at the end of February, the campaign cash on hand metric for the 2 campaigns, you have Joe Biden lapping Donald Trump there. Now, of course, Donald Trump is not gonna take that lying down, so we will turn to him. But Helen, I wanna start with you.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
It was a big event. You had a lot of jokes being thrown around, mostly at Donald Trump's expense. Some people thought that the event was a little bit elitist, though. What do you make of it?
I think Joe Biden shouldn't make old jokes. Sorry, Joe, but I don't think Joe should ever say or hint or allude to the word old because it's not working in your favor, buddy. Gramps, you know what I mean? Like the first word that I think of when I think of Joe Biden is old. The first word that I think of when I think of Trump is not old. It's a bunch of other things that I'm not allowed to say due to FCC regulations on this channel. But old is not the first word. Joe, you old, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I liked his joke, but I was also thinking I really hope they don't challenge each other to some sort of physical contest. Even walking around a golf course, sure, Trump is gonna look bad, but you might seriously hurt yourself.
Seriously, you might break a hip.
Yeah.
Sit down, Grandpa.
Good joke,
Sit down.
Good joke. Yaz, what did you make of it?
Well, speaking of golf, Golf Digest magazine actually ranked all the US presidents as how good of golfers they are, but they use handicaps, but they still rank Trump #1 and Biden was #2. So if it comes to a golf off, if that's what it's called, I don't know that Biden will be able to hold his own against Trump. And of course, Trump does have a lot of golf trophies. So he is a very formidable, very athletic old president. Those are his own words. He is very athletic for some reason that he doesn't even understand.
Yeah.
So
hashtag athletic, but also hashtag cheater at golf. That's
hashtag great athlete. Yeah.
I didn't even know that Joe Biden golfed. Actually, I was completely unfamiliar with that. I also love though.
You have to. I think if you want to be president, you have to golf. I think.
Here's an idea. Let's have a president, and we did with Barack Obama. Loved playing basketball. It was something different, and I guess he windsurfs. I think Joe Biden did at one point too. For Donald Trump, a guy who masquerades as some sort of populist or whatever, the fact that he spends 30% of every day on a golf course would seem to undercut that. I mean, how many people could afford to play golf, let alone in this economy? Could he play pool or something, throw darts? There are sports that the everyman takes part in that he could at least pretend to be interested in.
Yeah, well, but no, they all get a severe senior discount.
Yeah.
Because, when you're pushing 90 or however old they are.
Yeah,
they give you a discount at the golf course.
And if you die on the course, they prorate it based on the number of holes you've actually played.
I've heard
so you can save some money that way as well.
What other sport could he possibly play though? Because golf, you don't even have to walk if you don't want to. You just get to ride around in those little carts. So I don't even know what other sport would even remotely compare to the amount of physical activity that golf makes you do, which is very little. I've never played golf, so I don't know. But it seems like there's not a lot of
windsurfing, which I think is crazy that Barack Obama windsurfs. I mean, I think that America would pay $26 million to see either one of these Gramps windsurf. Like I would somehow come up with $26 million to see a windsurf off.
I'm thinking beach volleyball. I would pay quite a bit to see all of the different candidates remaking that classic Top Gun beach volleyball scene.
In like booty shorts?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
We can negotiate on attire. But anyway, while Joe Biden raised over the expected $25 million at his New York City fundraiser, Donald Trump in all of last February only raised $20 million, and he is trailing in money. He needs to make it up, and he has a plan. So coming up in just the first week of April, he's going to be having a number of notable individuals flock down to Mar-a-Lago, and he is expecting that he will raise $33 million. Now, notably, Queen Latifah will not be there, and Lizzo's a maybe at this point. But what he does have is a whole bunch of billionaires who are going to be coming. So New York hedge fund billionaire John Paulson is already said that he's going to go. They've got this New York grocery billionaire. They've got a number of people who, they're not like getting Grammys or Oscars or anything, but they've got a lot of money. And they're looking to spend it on Trump.
Big grocery.
Exactly.
Big grocery got cash.
Big grocery. If you would like to attend this event, you can. It's $250,000 minimum per person. So, maybe take out a loan. I don't know, but if you'd like, you can be a chairman contributor. You only have to pay $814,600 for that. But in exchange for the nearly $1 million, you do get a copy of Trump's coffee table book full of photographs that costs like $75 on Amazon. But you can get it this way if you prefer.
Photographs of what? Of him?
Him, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I'd roll the dice.
There's a coffee table book. So like this big book.
Yeah.
With this big photographs of Trump. Wow.
Ooh, what an image. Gross.
I think that you would have to pay me $250,000 to take that.
And then you could go to the event.
And then display it on your coffee. You actually have to display it on your coffee table for that amount of money.
I mean, for me to display it on my coffee table, that would be the $814,000.
The chairman cost.
You have to be the big donor to put it on my coffee table. For me to look at it every day.
Well, look, as of right now, Donald Trump is confident that this event is going to bring in a lot of money. And look, he has a lot of billionaires, and they're willing to put a ton of money in. And I'm sure other MAGA people will and all that too. In advance of that, though, he is doing pretty much everything he can to raise money. And I don't just mean selling shoes and NFTs and Bibles or whatever. He's fundraising. So if you have found yourself in the unfortunate position of being on his mailing list, you might have gotten a message like this. You can see it right here. It's a message from Donald J. Trump. I know because it says that. It's under his official heading, which would seem to make it official enough, but just in case he decided to double it up. He then says, "We can't lose to Obama." And he is right, he can't lose to Obama. He can lose to Joe Biden, that's entirely possible. Can't lose to Obama, he's not running against you, buddy. But anyway, he says, before the end of the day, I'm humbly asking every patriot reading this message to chip in our average donation of 32 or whatever they can to help us defeat the Biden, Obama, Clinton cartel. Wow. He needs the money. And look, it could work. In 2016, in 2020, when he did try to raise money, whether it's for the campaign or for the legal defense fund to overturn the results of the election, he did raise a bunch of money. The fact that he's having so much trouble right now is actually a little bit surprising, and I honestly at this point have not seen a great explanation as to why that is. People are saying that like the wealthy donors at this point are already tapped out. They donated during the primary, but was that not true in 2016 or 2020? And what about the regular MAGA people? Why are they not flocking to fill his coffers?
Well, there's a recession. I don't know if you heard, but there's like a mild, there's a lot of inflation happening.
That's true.
And eggs are like $8 a carton.
That was true.
And so if you're like, the big grocery is always gonna be there. And big whatever billionaires are gonna be there. But if you're counting on those $22 from Joe Schmo in the middle of the States, he's trying to pay his rent and buy food, because milk and gas is all expensive. So like, they might be like, oh, I paid for this MAGA hat and 4 years ago and I'm wearing it again. I don't have another $22. I'm sorry, but the economy sucks right now. Thanks in large part to you, Donald Trump. So thank you.
Perhaps.
Thank you for that.
Yes, what do you think about the state of the funding of the two campaigns?
I mean, I think it is very telling, right? Because with Trump, he doesn't have the support of the populace the way he thinks he does. This is such a dumb election, can I just say real quick? Because, like, first of all, he doesn't even know who he's running against. I didn't know that Clinton and Obama were also in a cartel with Biden. And it just says love America on his thing. So as far as rallying his troops, like troops as in his supporters, I don't know if these same scare tactics are enough to get them to give him more money, especially when all he does is talk about how much money he has. But, we see it in other races all across the country. You want to look at how many people are donating how much money. And on the Republican side, you do tend to see a lot of bigger donations coming from fewer people. And unfortunately, those people, they only get one vote at the voting booth.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Everything is, who knows?
Yeah, mules depending. Yeah, and look, I will say, I'm pretty surprised about Biden's ability to draw in the money. Considering the fact that he's still in some polls trailing, and I don't, like, just colloquially, perhaps I'm in a bubble, I'm in LA, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of enthusiasm for him at this point. They've been drawing in a lot of money, and maybe it's the lingering threat of Donald Trump. I mean, maybe they're leaning into that, but it is, if you're worried about Donald Trump winning later on this year, I think this is a pretty good sign, and we'll see if it continues.
Yeah, I think that's exact. I just was on the phone with my dad on the way here, and my dad was like, "Oh, that Biden." My dad's 80, and he's like, "Oh, that Biden's old."
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.